Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we will dive into the depth, searching for the mermaids. The ocean covers 70% of our planet. Life came out of the ocean and soon drifted away from it. The ocean depths have become frightening and alien to us. In all parts of the world, there are myths and legends about aquatic creatures, those who live in rivers, lakes, or seas. Today, we will talk about classic European mermaids. Sea maidens are often confused with sirens, who have a sweet voice and a habit of luring sailors. Although initially the sirens that almost killed Odysseus were depicted as birds with human faces, closer to the harpies than to the sea folk, it is impossible to say exactly where the image of a modern mermaid comes from. Maybe it comes from ancient Greek and Roman myths about the children and descendants of Poseidon, nymphs and nereids, minor deities of streams and rivers, and spirits of lakes and springs, lived side by side with other ancient mythical creatures and even had offspring with humans. The mythical children of Poseidon most likely gave us stories about underwater palaces and cities in the depths of the sea. Poseidon lived in a luxurious palace at the bottom of the sea, surrounded by nereids and other creatures. He raced through the waters in a chariot drawn by seahorses with fishtails, a trident in his hand, a beard, a crown, a ready-made image for a Disney character. The Bible does not mention mermaids, unlike the basilisk and the unicorn. However, in the Middle Ages, mermaids were considered to be servants of the devil. Their image became symbolic: an attractive, seductive woman up to the waist and a monster below. Mermaids were depicted with fish in their hands. The fish symbolizes the captured Christian's soul. Mermaids often had a comb and a mirror in their hands. They comb their long, beautiful hair and sing in sweet voices sitting on the coastal rocks. With their singing, they lure people and destroy them. Many sailors believed that mermaids appeared in the sea before a storm. Not just do they foreshadow a storm, but they cause it, to smash as many ships as possible and drag more people into the abyss. Sometimes sea maidens were hunted. People thought that mermaids, as demonic creatures, could fulfill a cherished wish and know otherworldly secrets. According to popular belief, a mermaid could be subdued by a spell or magic symbols like a summoned devil and forced to serve a warlock. But mermaids are cunning and insidious. They will try to pervert a person's desire and use what they want to harm him. However, everything in medieval Christianity is symbolic and ambivalent. Similarly, a sea maiden would symbolize the dual nature of Jesus Christ. Just as she is both a man and a fish, so Christ is both a man and a god. At the same time, by the end of the Middle Ages, mermaids began to appear in heraldry, on coats of arms. In heraldry, a mermaid is usually depicted with a comb and a mirror. This is the image of a mermaid in vanity. It is also a symbol of eloquence. There are numerous eyewitness stories about mermaids. They were seen by Christopher Columbus, who wrote down that they were not as beautiful as they are depicted. The famous English pirate Edward Teach, known as Blackbeard, mentioned mermaids in his logbook, as did explorer Henry Hudson. Naturalistic theories about the nature of sea people attributes the sightings of mermaids to other, quite real, creatures of the sea. Indeed, manatees, dugongs, and even seals can be mistaken for humans. A long body with a wide tail, front fins sticking out like arms, and a large head. The folds of fat on the back of the neck can be mistaken for hair. The face, of course, is not human at all, but it is somewhat similar from a distance. Many museums and art galleries around the world keep stuffed real mermaids. However, in most cases, they are classified as fakes. Since at least the 13th century, sailors have been selling handmade mermaids. They dried, carved, and varnished the carcasses of sea rays to make them resemble mermaids. Or the head and body of a small monkey and the fins of a large fish were sewn together. The most famous example of a sea maiden in literature is undoubtedly a fairy tale, The Little Mermaid, by Hans Christian Andersen. This tale was first published in 1839. The main character, the youngest of the daughters of the Sea King, is waiting for her turn to emerge from the sea, sit on a rock, and observe the world of humans. The Little Mermaid falls in love with a human prince. His ship wrecks, and the sea maiden saves the prince from death. The mermaid longs for an eternal, immortal soul, which humans have and sea folk don't. Then the Little Mermaid turns to the sea witch, who offers her a potion to transform into a human. But the price for that is her voice. Every step of her newfound legs on the Earth's surface feels like her new feet are in pain. Despite being unable to speak, she almost manages to marry the prince. In the canonical version of this fairy tale, the prince eventually marries another, and the Little Mermaid dies, dissolving in sea foam. In the version that we know from the Disney film adaptation, the prince and the Little Mermaid together defeat the sea witch and find their happiness. By the way, this is an example of a very unhealthy relationship. An innocent girl falls in love with a prince who does not even know about her existence, and then she just ruins her life for the sake of a ghostly emotion. The fairy tale gave us the most canonical image of a Little Mermaid in culture and mass media. Upper part of a human, and from the waist down a large fish tail proportionally the same length as the legs would be. Sometimes we add minor and cute fish details, a pair of small fins instead of ears, hair the color of algae, small neat gills on the neck. Not the best shape from streamlining point of view. A human body with its protruding arms and head is not made for fast swimming. Also, it's cold under the water, and the pressure is high. But sea maidens do not have the same adaptations as sperm whales or dolphins have. No thick layer of fat to store additional supply of oxygen, no pectoral muscles that will protect internal organs from high pressure, no additional sphincters to close the nose, nor scales all over the body. Very often in the story, the mermaids start romantic or even intimate relationships with people. It is hard to say how it is even possible. Even visually, we do not see any external reproductive organs in the mermaids. Most often, such intimacy is explained through magic. Mermaids are able to turn into humans, creating all necessary body parts together with their legs. These are the European sea mermaids, inhabitants of the water depths. As we can see, the image began with the testimony of the ancient Romans about mysterious creatures. In Christianity, the image was used as an example of the sin of vanity. The pirates were afraid that the mermaids would pull them off the ship and drag them in the abyss. In modern times, the romantic image of a sea maiden who fell in love with a human is overshadowing old tales and is now popular all over the world. Thank you for watching.